Thanks, Trista. Hi, everyone. My name is Will Smith. If you came just as thinking you were going to see a celebrity, well, here I am. After the flop that was Gemini Man, from what I understand, I did not see it yet. I don't know if it's be good or not, but from what I understand, the people have spoken, and it's not very good. So I'm just going to arrange this a little bit so that.
Wonderful in the lab.
That's fantastic. So today I'm here to talk to you about email marketing. Now, I'm sure, okay, good, nobody groaned, because I'm sure you're like, oh, email. But before I do that, I want to take you back to a time when we used to communicate in this way. And I want you to imagine in the 1980s, a young Willie Smith waiting for the phone to ring, because what that meant in my household, when the phone rang, and then mom or dad picks it up, and you hear, Willie, it's for you. It was the greatest feeling in the world, because somebody, and the reason why it was such a great feeling in the world was because somebody, back in the day, in order to make this thing work, somebody back in the day had to look up your phone number or have it memorized, which I'm sorry, that says love right there. They had to either have it written down somewhere, they had to find your phone number, they had to then dial slowly 7, 2, 9. They had to take the time to dial your number and call you and communicate with you. So I bring this up because remember that feeling that you had when somebody said, yes, they called you. Nowadays, and I'm embarrassed to admit, I have to really think about my wife's phone number because it's so easy. It's just open up your phone, click, favorites, no problem. It's very different when you communicate with people nowadays because it's very instantaneous. Text message, whatever it is. You know what we're talking about. We live in the 21st century together. And so when somebody dialed that phone, it was very important because no matter who was on the other line, they were showing you love in the way that they were communicating. It could have been mom, it could have been dad, it could have been his grandma, or it could have been, and I hope you remember this, even Santa. And so that special feeling was so amazing that it actually kind of developed later on into the 90s when AOL came about. And all of a sudden, instead of the phone ringing, now it's that cultural icon that we hear, you've got mail. And I'm sure everyone remembers that because you're like, ooh, somebody was thinking of me. Somebody wanted to communicate with me, and now I have a message from them. And so much so that in 1998, and I love the ironic picture here, that it's a postal old school, but with an arrow for the internet there. We loved email so much that they put out a movie about it in 1998. And the other irony here is Meg Ryan's character had a small mom and pop bookstore. And Tom Hanks' character, also you'll see him later as Fred Rogers, coming out soon. Tom Hanks' character, he was a kind of the Barnes & Noble, kind of the big conglomerate, and they struck up a love relationship. Of course, neither of them had any idea who Jeff Bezos was, and of course he got them all by selling online. So there's the irony there of the 1998 movie. But do you remember this? I remember this scene, and I was looking through this. I did not watch You've Got Mail in preparation for this, but I do remember this. When was the last time you felt like this? The last time you wrote an email, like, yes, I am good. Boom, sig moment for you. You were that good that you were saying, oh, this is terrific. And so I think we have a real love-hate relationship with email. We either love it, yes, I got an email, this is fantastic, or, which is probably most of you, oh my gosh, another email I have to deal with. And one of the things that we have nowadays is this very laudable goal, and I'd like to just point out Brad, who has officially, are you on day 3 now, of Inbox Zero?
Yes, I am.
Day 3 of Inbox Zero. So this is a goal in the 21st century now, that you have nothing in your inbox, that you're either dealing with it or you're not dealing with it. I have about 4,000 in my inbox, so just put that out there. So you either love or hate it. So there's a lot of hate out there for email. And so with all of these, so let's talk about the things that we love about email and then the things we hate about email. We love, this is reversed for some reason. Okay, so I'm just going to click through and get all of them. There we go, okay. I want to start with love, of course. Let's start with some love. And there should be Yes, okay. We love email that informs us and educates us about something. Obviously, if you subscribe to something, you want to know more about something. So, give me more information. Educate me about something. And even sometimes, you get emails that educate you about problems you didn't even know you had. So, for example, a friend of mine got an email from a company that cleans solar panels. And the email subject line was, "You're losing 10% of your electricity." What? I am? Educate me. He opened up the email. And what he found out from this educational email was that he's not cleaning because the solar panels are up on the roof. He's not going up there to clean those solar panels. And for dirty solar panels, you're losing about 10% of efficiency than what he could get if they were clean. I didn't even know I had that problem. And of course, later on in the email, it says, "It just so happens that we are a company that will save you the hassle of going up on your roof and cleaning your solar panels. We will do that for you on a quarterly basis." And of course, it was a sales email, but it educated him. It educated him first. And so we hate emails that sell us something but don't educate us. So if you're getting something that is sold to you that's very similar to, "Hey, you want to buy this, you want to buy this?" I tried to find a picture of kind of a sleazy used car salesman, and I didn't find any that I like. So, and I don't want to put that on you before our first break. So we hate emails that sell us something because you can see that in the subject line that just says, "Hey, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this." And of course, you and I know we are very discerning shoppers. Delete that. Swipe that and delete it. We love emails that seem like they are sent to me, that are personalized. We hate emails that obviously go to a large list. "Hello, friend." You know right there, okay, I'm really not your friend. I'm just a friend of 3,000 other friends, and you just wanted to get in touch with me. I do not feel special. Please make me feel special. We love emails that have a reason, but also have a value, have a reason that why you're emailing, versus the, "Hey, I'm just checking in. I have really nothing else to say to you. I have nothing to provide for value. I'm just checking in with you." Now let's talk about snail mail real fast, because I know of a national speaker, and his name is Mike Potan, and what he does, and this is kind of old school, but I really like this. If he finds an article, because he knows you really well, if he finds an article that is related to you, he'll cut that article out and send it to you via snail mail. You open that up, wow, you were thinking of me. You had a reason to send me a letter. Thank you for that. Now he's kind of updated a little bit, and he does send us emails and say, "Hey, here's an article. I'm not just checking in with you because I want to come back and speak at your venue. I'm just giving you this because there's value to it. I thought of you, and I wanted to communicate this to you." We like emails that are also very timely. That's, I was just talking about that. And then Alexa laughs and sends you an email and says they're listening. Something that's very timely, that you're, "Yes, I am interested in this sort of thing. I am interested in this topic, this subject. And now that winter's coming, yes, I do need someone to clean out my solar panels, because I'm not going up there. I have to shovel my driveway, not shovel my solar panels." So a timely email is much better than a random and often email. Emails that come too quickly, too soon. "Hey, let me tell you about this, let me tell you about this, let me tell you about that." The perfect storm is the random email that's often, that sells something from a large list that's just checking in with you. I mean, that is a perfect storm of disaster. And then finally, we hate emails that give us just more questions. And we love emails that tell us, what are we supposed to do next? That lead us into the next step. If you get an email and it's kind of like, maybe from a company, "Hey, we just had our fantasy football league, and Bob here won the fantasy football league. I wanted to email that to you." Thanks. It leaves me with more questions, rather than leading me down what's the next step. So content is very important. So with all these emails that are flying around, there's so much hate email, not in subject, but so many people that hate email, and so many people that love email. How do we discern one from the other? And so it begs the question, is email marketing dead? I mean, is it still really worth doing? And the short answer is, it is absolutely worth doing. Definitely worth doing. So now in this I guess in this kind of thing, we talked about SEO from Brad, we talked about social media from Trista, and now I'm talking about email marketing. When it comes to marketing your business or organization for free, this is kind of a three-pronged approach. Now, I don't have any stools in here, but imagine a three-legged stool. Your three-pronged approach to marketing your marketing your business for free starts with SEO, then you have social media, and now email marketing. These are the three approaches to marketing your business or organization for free. And think of it as just a strong stool. One of those ones that you can just stand on. And so yes, it is definitely valuable. And this is why. Number one, there are over 102.6 trillion emails that are sent every single year. And by 2022, experts predict that that will almost double. So if you want to get in on it, definitely get in on it. But we're going to talk about how to make sure that your emails are good and loved and not hated. 90% of all people have email. They have an email. 86-year-old grandma has an email because her son told her how to get on the Faceplace so that she could keep up with her grandchildren. And so she has an email. 90% of people have email. Now, with all the social media and all the real sexy social stuff that we have, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's TikTok, all these really cool things, you would think, well, teenagers, they're not using such an old thing from the 90s like email. Yes, they are. 3/4 of all teens are using email. Now, part of that is, and as a former teacher, I will tell you that most of their teachers are probably using email in their classrooms because they were told, you need to get online. And so my 3 kids all have email addresses because their assignments are emailed in now. So 3/4 of all teens, if that's a market you're trying to reach, email is a good way of doing this. 58% of us, that's everybody in this, 58% of us, the first thing that we do when we wake up is check email. 58% of us, even more so than social media. That's right. Even more so than social media. The first thing that we do is we check email. And some people say that's about 62. I like the 58%. All these statistics are from Opt-in Monster, by the way. And the last thing is, yes, even though we might check our social media a lot, we're checking our emails, that's right, 20 times a day. 20 times a day. And so, here's the biggest statistics, though, that I really like. Email marketing has a 3,400% return on investment. Now, it could be different for your business, it could be different for your vertical, it could be different for, even if you're an organization that isn't really selling anything, but a 4,400% return on investment basically means for every dollar you spend on email, you can expect, it might be higher in some businesses and lower in some other businesses, you can expect $44 back. So is email marketing worth it? Definitely. Most definitely. But of course, with great email power, comes great email responsibility. And so as marketers, as business owners, as leaders of organizations, it's very important that we take this responsibility and we take it seriously. Because when people check their emails, they do not want to see something, you don't want to see this, you want to imagine this. So that people are enjoying your emails and say, hey, you should look at this. Could you imagine all the conversations that would happen around a desk? Because I got this great email. That's gold right there. Let me forward you this marketing email. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And for a marketing automation nerd like me, I love that. And so here are 10 ways, so not all is lost. If you're thinking, ooh, when I listed those, what we hate about email, if you're kind of thinking, ooh, I'm guilty of 1 or 2 of those, all is not lost. I'm going to give you 10 ways to get your audience, to get your customers, to get your people to love your emails again. Number 10. I feel like Dave Letterman. You should have a great subject line, and actually we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Because really, as they say, first impressions are they're the first thing. They're very important. That subject line could make or break you. If it's a good subject line, yes, tell me more. If it's a bad subject line, like, got 5 minutes? No, I do not. and I'm deleting your email. I'm going to take 2 seconds to delete your email after you ask me if I have 5 minutes. Make sure that your email is sent from a real person email address, not sales@Pittsburgh Internet Consulting, not deals@Pittsburgh Internet Consulting. Make sure it's from Brad, it's from Trista, it's from Will, it's from Jeff, it's from whomever. And that actually really helps your email get into the right place. Make sure that it gets to their inbox rather than Gmail or Yahoo Mail saying, you know what, I don't know if I want to send this to their inbox. I'm just going to decide for them and throw it into the trash bin. We don't want that sort of thing. We want to get it sent from a real person, and so that people will open it, because it's that personal communication again. Make sure that it is recognizable, and this can go through a couple of things. If you have a standard, maybe you use some emoji at the beginning of your subject line. Maybe you have a particular, make sure that you're recognizable, that your brand is recognizable. Maybe a particular design that you commonly use, so that it's not, hey, this week we're going to do a 90s email, and then next week we're going to do an 80s email and throw in lots of neon and bright colors and things like that. And then the following we're going to do a 2020 email, so we're going to do neon and bright colors and things like that, because the 80s are coming back. So make sure that you have a standard, recognizable, branded email, so that people know when they open it, they know what to expect, they recognize it. They say, yes, Pittsburgh Internet Consulting. Pittsburgh, black and gold, perfect. Make sure that you personalize it. So instead of, hey friend, it's personalized. Now, there are a lot of different tools out there that can help you with that, so that it is, hey Will, or hey Joe. For me, I kind of feel like you're kind of checking the personalization box. You're just kind of saying, there, I made it personalized. I put a nice little token in there, and then it just automatically populates everyone's name in there. To me, I feel like it's a little bit of selling short, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper into personalizing later on in this session, and then later on today. But try your best to at least start personalizing, so you're not, hey there, or dear friend. And make sure that you're providing value. Make sure that you're not just checking in. Give them an article that made you think of them. Something that would be good for everybody. A clear CTA, or call to action. This goes back to, what am I supposed to do next? With a checking in email, usually you're just checking in. Even if, heaven forbid, you do send a checking in email, you at least say, I'm checking in with you, here's how to get in touch with me. And you can insert maybe a meeting link or something where they know, I need to do this to get in touch. Make sure that you make it easy to unsubscribe. We are not in the business of keeping digital prisoners. Make sure that once you have them subscribe, you also make it easy to unsubscribe. Now, I'm not saying something, right in the middle there that says, hey, unsubscribe if you don't like us. If somebody's having a bad day and they're not waiting the 24 hours that Trista talked about, they might just say, you're gone, unsubscribe. But more so than just unsubscribing, and this is a little bit into personalization, maybe instead of all or nothing, can you break it down into a different way? Can you break it into maybe a different, hey, do you only want to hear from us once a month? So rather than unsubscribing, you can at least say, you're in control of how you want us to communicate with you. So let's do 30 days. How about only 60 days? Let's take something like cars, for example, Corvettes. You can break it down rather than unsubscribing from all Corvette alerts that, hey, we got an 80s car, well, I'm more into the 1968 car. You can break that down into maybe the era that they prefer. Or you can break it down to, I will only, if I'm buying a Corvette, it has to be red, because that's a fast car. It has to be red. So instead of having them unsubscribe or sending out a huge email blast to everyone, here's everything available, and all that they care about are the 4 red cars, instead of unsubscribing, maybe break that down into, hey, do you want to hear from us when we only have red cars available? Let's do that. It also gives your customer, gives your audience a sense of power, so that they can say, hey, I'm in control of how many times I hear from you. Be good, be brief, and be gone. Don't write long emails. Nobody's going to read long emails. They're just like the websites that Brad talked about. They're just scanning it. So be good, be brief, and be gone. But then do the Columbo technique. because that'll usually elicit some sort of response. And if you don't know the character Columbo, it's an older TV show, and Columbo, played by Peter Falk, and he would always go up to the person who he thought was for sure going to be the criminal. And he would say, okay, well, thank you for answering all my questions. And then before he left, he would turn back and he'd say, oh, just one more thing. And he'd ask one more question. And the answer to that question usually incriminated that criminal. And at the end of the show, they tie it all up in a nice bow and you understand what happened. You kind of go, oh, when Columbo asked that last question, that's what did it. So in your emails, ask a question. Ask a question. Would you like to get back to me? Would you like to talk about this? Would you like to set up a meeting? Ask a question. Or, as Trista said, maybe it's a little more involved, but does your dog like chicken or beef? Timing. Make sure that you time this well, so that you're not sending emails at midnight. There are plenty of tools out there that will help you send out emails, even to large lists at different times of the day, depending upon the time zone. And then finally, just as Trista said, as in social media, make sure that you are human. Yes, we are in a business-to-business era, or maybe your business is business to consumer, but really when it comes down to it, it is H to H, and that's human to human. One human talking to another human. So, to kind of wrap things up, email marketing is very similar to beer, actually. Because beer, sometimes you need a mass-produced beer. You need large quantities of beer. If you're having a wedding reception, you need a large quantity of beer. But if you think about the personal one-to-one emails, wouldn't you, like beer, wouldn't you prefer a crafted beer? Something that is similar, that you know that you will like, that was built just for you, that had the best ingredients, pictures, gifts. I'm talking about email now, not beer. Or even videos. One of the things that I have done lately is Vidyard, that's VIDYARD, offers a free service where you can record a video and personalize that video to talk to people so that they see your face. This is a very personalized way to craft an email. And maybe I'm bragging a little bit, but the people that are here today, some of the folks that are here today, I sent personal emails to them, rather than saying, hey friend, we're doing a digital marketing workshop. And they're all right in the front row because we love each other. So we want to craft our emails. Now, there are a lot of products out there, and a lot of tools out there that you can craft multiple emails. So this one's going to be different than that one, this one's going to be different than the next one, but then you can also send those similar emails out to your audience. So you're crafting these emails with the best possible things. So, 2 takeaways from today that I want to talk about just to wrap things up. I want to talk about your subject line, and I want to talk about your call to action. So if you, this afternoon, because you're so inspired to drink beer and write emails, that please save them first. Just save them first before you go sending them like Tom Hanks. The 2 key takeaways that I want you to take away from here are the subject line and the call to action. If you improve these 2 things, you will improve your emails almost instantaneously. And here's how to do that. For your subject lines, first impressions are everything. Write at least 10 of them, but choose one. Talk to any book author, they'll say, I wrote so many titles. I did so many titles on this book. Or maybe your subject line, write 5 of them, write your email, and then write 5 more. Because that subject line is what is going to make the difference, whether they open it or not. This is a great metric to follow because your subject lines, you know they're effective if all of a sudden you see your open rate going up. Oh, that must have been a good subject line. People are opening my emails. Terrific. Easy metric to follow. If they're opening it, terrific. Next thing on your subject lines. So write 10, maybe ask people around the office. Write 5 at the beginning, 5 at the end of the email, whatever you want. But then choose the best one. Keep your subject line short. Otherwise, ellipsis, ellipsis, ellipsis. That's what you'll get. And that's kind of clickbaity. to kind of say, oh, I didn't finish my thought, but I want you to open the email to finish it up. That doesn't deliver a complete sense of value. So keep the subject line short. And when I talk about that, it's kind of, you got to think of a Goldilocks zone. There are some people that say, hey, do a one-word subject line. And that may be effective for some folks, or maybe for your audience, but not so effective for someone else. But then you have some people that say, no, it has to be very few, so it just has to be a few words. So you have to find out in the middle what's just right for your people. What's just right for the Goldilocks principle. What's best for your people. All caps do not work, as we know, because that's like yelling at somebody. Avoid spammy content, such as, great sale today, free information, things like that. It's very spammy, and like I said before, it may end up in the trash bin rather than getting to your sender's inbox. Or, I'm sorry, your person's inbox. You're the sender. Personalize it. Make sure that you personalize that subject line beyond just the simple, hi Joe, I'd like you to take a look at this. Or hi Will, I'd like you to take a look at this. I'm going to check my notes real fast. Here's a perfect one. When you personalize, recently I just subscribed to a professional level of Grammarly. And what Grammarly does is they check your grammar and make sure that the emails you send out, and anything that you put on the internet, on Twitter, anything is done well. Well, here's a great example of personalization, and I love this because it was all about my favorite subject, me. So they send out an email to me every week that says, hey, don't even say my name, but it says, the subject line says, hey, you're doing great. What am I so great at? Let me see. Let's open that. Fantastic. The next one says, your grammar is an emoji. And I said, all right, well, let's find out why my grammar is so. Your vocabulary is fantastic. You won this badge every week. Obviously, I'm very excited about it. Grammarly is fantastic. Every week I get a new email. Look at what you did. Here's this. Here's that. And even though it's a product and a service that I've already bought into, I get that kind of, it's very personalized. Ooh, tell me more about me. Fantastic. I love it. And then finally, you should A/B test your subject lines. Now, if you have a large enough list, what you should do is you should send your subject lines to just a few of them. The A line and the B line. There is a tremendous amount of value in this because the example that I want to give to you now, love him or hate him, the former President Barack Obama, his 2012 marketing campaign, or presidential campaign, was, I don't know who worked for him, who his marketers were, but they were fantastic. But it was very email driven. What they did was they A/B tested subject lines, and they sent a few to one set, just a small set of their interested audience, and then another set to another interested audience. And I don't know how they did it, I don't know the exact algorithm or anything, but they were able to predict, based on the subject line, how much money they would be able to receive in donations towards the campaign. The worst subject lines would receive $400,000, were predicted to receive $400,000 in donations. The best subject line, and I think it was, I will be outspent. Short, interesting. It was predicted that it would receive about $2 million in donations. So that's the one that they sent out, and it garnered $2.2 million in donations. A/B testing your subject lines important? Absolutely. Absolutely. The other thing is that you should improve, that you could improve today while drinking your beer and writing emails, is your call to action. Your CTA. What's the next step for your audience? What's the next thing that you should be able to do? And these calls to actions are, again, this is another great metric. So you've got the email open. Now, this is going to tell you what the click-through rate is. If you have a link in there or a call to action that says, now do this, you see that number rising, guess what? Your call to actions are improving, and they're fantastic. So, a couple of call to actions here. A way to improve them. First of all, personalize. Start my, and not Joe, sign up for Netflix. Sorry, Joe's right there. That's why I keep saying Joe. But start my free trial. personal. This is my free trial. So that's how you personalize your call to action. Make sure that they're clickable in that they stick out. It's not on their website anymore, it's not in their email anymore. Spotify, what they would do is they would put a nice green, they had 2 calls to action here. One was green and said, start free music today. The other one wasn't green and it said, go for premium. So the thought process there is, okay, even if they're not going to go for premium, I'm going to put it right next to free because everybody likes free. And I'm going to highlight that in green. And so that's how you make it clickable. So the idea is, you know what, I'm going to get the Spotify probably went through the process of, I'm going to get people to click on this and get them in the system for free, and then eventually when the commercials just are too much to handle, they're going to upgrade to premium, which is exactly what I did. So, oh, they got me, gosh. Make sure those calls to actions are easy to find. Look, I don't like to read, and there are probably a lot of people in your audience that don't like to read either. So putting a call to action at the bottom of your email may not be speaking to everyone. Now, of course, we can scroll quickly and everything, but maybe after that first 3 or 4 sentences, put a call to action there. And this is very similar to a lot of websites, a lot of blog posts, but put your call to action in your email right there. After you make the most compelling arguments, or you put out your best foot forward, then put the CTA there right in the middle, rather than waiting all the way to the bottom. Still put it at the bottom, because I'm sure there are readers out there still. But for me, I'm not a huge fan of reading. Give me a video any day. Be specific. This is another way to improve your call to action. Be specific. I love this because in all this research and everything, MailChart is another service that I've not signed up for, but I did get a 14-day free trial. I click that CTA. And what they allow you to do is to check the emails. They subscribe for you. They allow you to check the emails of another company and what they're doing. So if email marketing is important to you, or it's the basis of your business or organization, MailChart.com is fantastic. I really like what they're doing. But here's what really made me click on that call to action, and it was become a better marketer. It wasn't start your free trial today. It appealed to my sense of I want to be better. And so when I say be specific to who you're talking to. And so MailChart knew that they were talking to a marketer. And so become a better marketer. Yes, please. And I hit that CTA. Copy. Now, don't copy other people's. What I mean by this is words have meaning. Words are important. So, and this goes along with test and optimize, these two together. Words are important, words have meaning. It's important that what you put together has the best possible words. Using strong words like start today. Using short words, not optimize your website because that's too long. But using power words like yes, instant, create, free, discover, test. Things like that, power words. That copy is very important because words have meaning, and people who are reading their email, when they see those power words, they're going to want to get involved. And then finally, test and optimize. And what I like about this is, I actually saw this on Neil Patel's website, who helps people get more traffic to their websites. And what I really liked about this was, he had one CTA a few months ago. You go back to his website, he has a new one, and this is interesting. He tested it and optimized it, and there were 2 things. The CTA, the one that was clear, specific, said, yes, I want more traffic. Click on that one, please. The other one that kind of removed it from there was, no, I don't want more traffic. So he tested this, and he said, I found that if you put the negative there, that people will say, I'm not going to click on that just to get out of here. I'm going to click on, yes, I want more traffic. And so copy, test, and optimize are important. Because sometimes even the negative is important. No, I don't want more traffic. Well, of course, nobody's really going to say that if you're in the business of driving traffic to your website. So it's important to make sure that you have these things in your call to action. Finally, and of course these are not clickable on your paper, but you will get this in your PDF, but a few helpful resources that I really like. Now, I pretty much bash that just checking in email, but here are your solutions. This is put together by HubSpot, and it's 30 alternatives to the I'm just checking in email. Great resource there. 23 rules of email etiquette to make the right impression on anyone. First impressions are always very important. 39 sales email subject lines that get opened, read, and responded to. Great place to start when you're trying to write those 10 subject lines before you narrow it down to the perfect subject line. And then finally, as I was saying before, copy, words have meaning, copywriting for sales. Now, of course, I didn't say this in the introduction. My name is Will Smith, and I am the HubSpot specialist here. So you'll notice that these are all very HubSpot oriented. So huge fan of HubSpot, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So thank you all very much. I believe it is time for some caffeine.